If chasing clients made you high-end, hustle culture would produce luxury brands. It doesn't. Luxury brands don't chase. They don't post harder, they don't discount faster, they don't panic when engagement drops, and they definitely don't market from anxiety. But most entrepreneurs do. And then they wonder why their brand feels loud instead of luxurious. Today, I'm breaking down how luxury brands actually market and why more effort isn't the answer. Be sure to watch to the very end because I'm going to walk you through a powerful exercise that will reveal what's actually holding your brand back. If you care about luxury marketing and building authority instead of urgency, hit the like button and let's dive in. If you're new here, I'm Moriah. I'm an award-winning luxury brand designer and the founder and creative director of Moriah Riona Branding, a full-service luxury branding agency for ambitious female founders. I help women build brands that command higher prices by engineering perception, not chasing attention. On this channel, I break down what actually creates status, demand, and authority so you can stop marketing from urgency and start positioning from power. If you care about luxury marketing, buyer psychology, and building a brand that attracts instead of chases, subscribe. You are in the right place. Now, let's talk about how luxury brands actually market. Truth number one. Luxury brands market from assumed status. Luxury brands do not market to earn worth. They market from assumed status. And when we rebuild brands inside my agency, this is the first shift we make. We stop trying to prove, we start reinforcing. Chanel doesn't convince you it's valuable. Hermes doesn't explain why it's expensive. And Rolex doesn't panic and increase output because engagement dipped. They operate from assumed demand. Most entrepreneurs operate from hoped for demand. That difference is everything. When you market hoping to be chosen, your messaging carries tension. When you market assuming you belong, your messaging carries certainty. Inside luxury brand audits, I can feel this immediately. Two women can have identical offers. One sounds calm, the other sounds like she's trying to earn permission. Luxury marketing is not louder. It's steadier, it's restrained, it signals we're not competing. Most entrepreneurs think visibility creates status, but luxury brands understand status creates visibility. That's mindset before marketing. Truth number two, luxury brands are comfortable being elevated. Here's where it gets uncomfortable. Luxury is separation. Luxury is not democratic. It's not trying to be for everyone, and it's not asking to be liked. It's elevated, and elevation requires psychological safety with being seen at a higher level. After years of working with ambitious women and auditing hundreds of brands, I can tell you something clearly. You don't struggle with marketing. You struggle with being seen at that level. I've had clients sit across from me on Zoom and say, I just want to be positioned as luxury. And then 2 minutes later, they admit they're worried about what their old colleagues will think, or their friends, or their family. Luxury positioning changes perception. It changes how people introduce you. It changes how people talk about your pricing. It changes who feels comfortable around you, and that can seriously trigger your identity. A lot of women say they want high-end positioning, but subconsciously they're thinking, what if people think I've changed? What if I seem arrogant? What if I price myself out of conversations? What if I can't uphold that image? What if I become a target? So instead of elevating, they hustle. Because hustle feels safe. Hustle feels humble. Hustle feels relatable. But elite feels exposed. And that internal conflict leaks into your marketing. You post more, you explain more, you soften your tone, you justify your pricing. Because part of you doesn't fully believe you're allowed to occupy that level. If that stung a little, comment seen. That's your next work. Truth number 3, luxury marketing is an identity decision. This isn't about strategy, it's about identity. Luxury brands don't chase because they don't question their worth. They don't flood the market because they don't doubt demand. They don't over-explain because they don't feel the need to justify themselves. When clients come to me frustrated about marketing, they almost always think it's tactical. They want better funnels, better content, better cadence. But what we uncover is so much deeper. Identity always overrides strategy. If you don't believe you deserve to be perceived as high-end, your marketing will self-sabotage back to comfortable. It will overgive, overpost, it will discount, it will chase. Not because you're bad at marketing, because you're calibrating back to an identity that feels safe. Luxury brands don't market differently because they have secret tactics. They market differently because their identity is stable and they know their worth. The real reason your marketing feels hard. Now, slow down, get your notebook, not your phone, not half listening, okay? Actually write this down and feel free to pause this video between each question to give yourself the time you need to answer, because this is where your shift really begins. Question 1, if your brand were perceived as undeniably luxury tomorrow, what would feel uncomfortable about that? Not exciting, uncomfortable. Question 2, who in your life might react differently if you were visibly high-end? Would anyone feel distant, judgmental, threatened? Question 3, what story do you carry about women who charge more? Are they arrogant, out of touch, too much? Be honest. Question 4, do you actually believe you deserve to be perceived as elite? Or does that feel arrogant? And last one, what part of you feels safer being hardworking than being high status? Go ahead and take a second, because if you hesitated, even slightly, that hesitation is showing up in your marketing. I see it instantly inside of luxury brand audits. It's never about Canva, it's all about self-concept. Luxury marketing doesn't work when your identity resists elevation. When women book a luxury audit with me, they think we're going to talk about fonts, and we might, but more importantly, we talk about identity, where your message is shrinking, where your visuals feel apologetic, where your positioning is safe instead of powerful. If you're ready for your brand to actually reflect the level you want to operate at, book a complimentary luxury brand audit with the link below. We'll identify exactly where perception is breaking down and what needs to shift. The truth. This is why your marketing feels hard. Once your identity stabilizes, marketing simplifies. You don't need to post more. You need to position stronger. You don't need urgency. You need clarity. Luxury marketing is calm. It's deliberate. It reinforces status instead of seeking validation. This is why my clients often attract higher level buyers without increasing output. Because when perception shifts, your effort decreases. And if you want to understand the psychology behind attracting 5-figure buyers before you redesign anything, my free course, 5-Figure Clients, is linked below. It breaks down exactly what high-level buyers are looking for before they ever book. Because once you understand buyer psychology, your marketing stops feeling desperate and starts feeling intentional. And if you really want to see how this identity shift affects pricing, watch the next video, because I break down the psychology of charging $50,000 and actually getting it. That's your next step.